friends, my name's Ashley Ariana. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I talk about all things 49ers, and we have some unfortunate breaking news. Robert Saleh has been hired by the Tennessee Titans to be their head coach. Big hole that Robert Saleh is leaving behind and that Kyle Shanahan is going to have to fill. This is 3 defensive coordinators in 3 years. Obviously, the hiring of Robert Saleh, had a huge impact on why the 49ers were able to win 13 games this season with not even an inch of the talent that they had last year. When you consider that, both of their all-pro Hall of Fame level players on defense were out. They were in and out. Linebackers were in and out. All the backup linebackers were in and out. For safeties, they were starting brand new guys. Upton Stout was probably the best guy on their defense, and they drafted him this year. Michael Williams was their first pick of this draft, and he showed some flashes, but then immediately also tore his ACL. And Robert Saleh, I know it the last game leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Giving up 41 is horrendous, but week 18 he gave up 13 to the Seahawks that look like they're going to go on and win the Super Bowl. He kept this defense afloat. Feels like he kept this team afloat. We talked a lot when Nick Sorensen was the defensive coordinator about Kyle Shanahan is less of an emotional guy. And I'm not trying to be down on Kyle. I think he did a very good coaching job this season, aside from that last playoff game, obviously scoring 3 points in your final game against the Seahawks and then 6 points in your final game of the season against the Seahawks. Not great for Kyle, but he's in the head coaching, or he's in the coach of the year candidate. I'm not trying to down him. However, he's not necessarily like the guy that you look for to meet the emotional moment. He can be very, blank-faced, focus on his call sheet during the games. And Robert Saleh is running up and down the sidelines, screaming, cheering on, like really bringing that emotional element for the team. We saw it in his first couple years with the 49ers. He definitely, D'Amico Ryans, learned under Robert Saleh. He carried that on. But once both Robert Saleh and D'Amico left the building, we saw, Steve Wilkes, who I don't think was a horrible coach. Like Jair Brown had his best year with them. The secondary players, Lenore did pretty well with him. But he was not an emotional leader. He was more of an X's and O's guy, kind of like Kyle. And then Nick Sorensen not only was bad emotionally, but was also bad at the X's and O's. Having Robert Saleh back, I think the fixes on special teams, having Eddie Pinheiro and the special teams perform better, and then Saleh, if we look at the top 3 reasons why the 49ers were contenders this season, why they won 13 games despite all their injuries, it would probably be, the offseason move of getting Mac Jones. He held the team in it when Brock Purdy was out of it. A lot of backup quarterbacks couldn't have won as many games as Mac Jones did. You look at the special teams and getting rid of Jake Moody for Eddie Pinheiro, and then you look at Robert Saleh and bringing him back and what he was able to get out of, no offense to these guys, but guys that were on the couch scrubs, third string players is, generous for some of these guys. These guys were not on practice squads. They were, this is like 7th string guys that were starting for the 49ers. And Robert Saleh was, coming up with creative blitzes, doing anything to really keep the 49ers in it. Especially, I feel like early on in the season, they had a couple of games that it felt like the defense dropped off a little bit. Seems like maybe Robert Saleh, there's only so many times you can pull a rabbit out of a hat, But in the first half of the season, even after the loss of Fred Warner, they had some really impressive games that I felt like they won because the defense kept them in it. The offense was struggling to score touchdowns, struggling in the red zone. The run game, Christian McCaffrey deserves so much credit for, he got an insane amount of touches, but his production per touch is very low. You know what I mean? So it's he deserves credit for like staying healthy, getting as many touches as he got. That's impressive. But it wasn't like he was excelling with those amount of touches. It's like, if you look at the NBA, it's like a guy who takes, 200 jumpers. It's like, okay, that's impressive that you did that 200 times. But if you only got the ball in, 20 times, that's not a good ratio. And anyways, I hope it's not coming off that I'm dissing Christian. I'm tired and it's usually past my bedtime, but I saw that Robert Saleh got hired, so I wanted to go live to talk to you guys about it. Here are some of my notes that I took maybe when I was a little less tired. It'll end up being 5 defensive coordinators in 5 seasons. Goddamn, for the 49ers. 3 straight one and dones. Important hire for Kyle Shanahan. He has to nail it in order to maintain stability on that side of the ball. They bottomed out at 23 to 24 because of coaching on that side of the ball. Now Sean McDermott just got fired from the Buffalo Bills. I wonder if, he might get a head coaching job somewhere else, but they gotta look at him. A lot of people are talking about Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley is who Saleh originally learned under at Seattle, and then he's been with the 49ers for quite some time. So it would be an internal hire, and that could be the guy. A lot of people are projecting that's the guy, Gus Bradley. What I would say, because I'm seeing beat reporters already basically say it's guaranteed that it's Gus Bradley. You can't, to me, and this is not anti-Gus Bradley, maybe he ends up being the right and correct choice. He runs the wide 9, which we know the 49ers are married to. They make all of their defensive coordinators run that wide 9. You have to do a thorough job interviewing everyone. You have to interview, depending on what Cleveland does, Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz has Kyle Shanahan's number. We knew it was a possibility Robert Saleh was going to get taken. So Tom Jensen of SI, we talked about this on our stream earlier. Jim Schwartz has Kyle Shanahan's number. So being able to get a guy like that, not only do you bring a guy, he runs the wide 9, so that's helpful. And the 49ers want that. He's an excellent defensive coordinator to other coaches, so it's good to have someone like that. And he's good at beating Kyle Shanahan. So you get a guy that always beats Kyle and you put him on Kyle's team. So now you don't have to face. That's an automatic loss, basically, that you're wiping away because Kyle won't have to go after, go against him. Now, I don't know, if he'll be available. There's a lot of football teams are firing their head coaches. So a lot of these guys it's not like last year where I feel like most of the candidates were kind of taken up by the time it was the championship game. There's a lot of availability right now. So you got to do a thorough job. You're interviewing, obviously, Gus Bradley. He's internal. Jim Schwartz, you got to interview him. Sean McDermott, like I said, he might get a head coaching job, but I would interview him. He seems like a real emotional leader guy. All of the Buffalo team has basically came out and said, why the hell did they fire him? We love him. Seems like Buffalo made a mistake there. I don't know if he made a mistake. I'm not saying his defense gave up 30, so that's not good. Now his quarterback turned the ball over 5 times. I love you, Josh Allen, but but I don't think Buffalo's defense has been good enough to not fire him. But I think their problem is they kept the general manager, and Buffalo has been really bad at drafting. So I think that's kind of a mess up. In my opinion, if you're going to fire a coach, you got to fire, or general manager, I think you kind of have to do it together a little bit, or at least with the head coach. That was a side note. Gus Bradley, Jim Schwartz, Sean McDermott. They brought over KJ Wright, but I think it'd be too much of a jump for KJ Wright. I think he's only been with the 49ers for 1 year. He's not, he's more of an assistant. So I don't think you want to have him take on that much of a jump in responsibility yet. Who are other guys? I saw online people are saying Brian Flores. I would not do that. One, Flores does not run the wide 9, which the 49ers are forcing. They force every DC that they hire to run the wide 9. So he doesn't run that. And also his one negative is that he's, really bad at emotional attunement. I think he runs really good defenses. The Vikings defense was great last year. Also, that's a lateral move. I don't know. Like, is that even possible? For example, Clay Kubiak, he's the 49ers OC. Robert Saleh cannot bring Clay with him because Kyle Shanahan already said they wouldn't allow it. Like a lateral move. If you promote someone, for example, Robert Saleh, the 49ers can't say you're not allowed to go to the Titans because that's a step up. But if someone else wanted to hire Robert Saleh as their defensive coordinator, they could slash that. So I don't really understand the Brian Flores thing. I feel like if he was going to stay defensive coordinator, the Vikings would just retain him. But he was a guy that I saw people talking about. And even if the Vikings didn't retain him, I don't think that he should be. I mean, maybe bring him in for an interview because I think you should exhaust all your options. Okay, so what I heard is his contract is up in Minnesota. So I guess they wouldn't be able to ban the move. He's had a ton of success, Brian Flores, but I just think his main criticism is not his X's and O's. People love his X's and O's. It's that he's bad at emotional attunement. Did I cover everyone who's out there? Oh, Raheem Morris. He just got fired. He was the coach of the Falcons for a while, but he was the DC at the Rams when they won their Super Bowl most recently. And he put up awesome defenses with the Rams. He's also a close friend of Kyle Shanahan from back when they were in Tampa. He's probably likely to get a head coaching opportunity, but if he doesn't, he might be my number one pick because not only does he have good X's and O's, but people rave about his like emotional character, his attunement with his players. So, because that's what I'm like. I'm not trying to totally dismiss X's and O's. That's obviously like the number one thing that you have to be good at if you're going to be the play caller. But I think with a head coach like Kyle, you do have to take in consideration the emotional element of the DC because we've seen other stoic DCs fail. And we've seen that the 49ers respond best to, very emotive, theatric, emotional DCs. And it has to be, this is shitty, it shouldn't be like this, but it has to be one that the players are going to get behind. They were never behind Steve Wilkes. Now, a lot of them were behind Nick Sorensen, and that guy was obviously over his head. I don't even think he's in the NFL anymore. So, Raheem Morris, if he doesn't get a head coaching opportunity, he'd be top of my list. Obviously, Gus Bradley, in-house option if they want to keep it in the building, which they like to do. I don't know how much I would like that, but I feel like that's probably what's most likely. Beat reporters are making it sound like that's what's most likely. Then Jim Schwartz and Brian Flores, you got to look at. When it comes to Robert Saleh taking the DC job, not that, this is less Niners related, but I think it's kind of weird. I know that his thing is he wants to be a head coach, but defensive coordinators especially, rarely get more than two runs at being a head coach. And the Titans organization is not stable. They actually hired Ran Carthen. He was 49ers personnel president, and they hired him as their general manager a couple of years ago. And then they fired him 2 years later. I just feel like they run through coaches. They fired Mike Vrabel, who I feel like is very similar to Robert Saleh when it comes to he's an excellent defensive coordinator and excellent emotionally. And they literally fired him. So I don't really understand, why would you move off of Mike Vrabel to hire another guy that is very similar to Mike Vrabel? I mean, Mike Vrabel's having a ton of success with the Patriots right now, which is, great for him. But doesn't that kind of show that the Titans are a bad organization, poorly run, not making good decisions? They just let go of that guy. So yeah, for this is more like a Saleh thing. I'm just pondering. I don't really know why he would take that. I mean, I guess they have Cam Ward. They have a quarterback. Cam Ward's unproven. I'm not saying he's bad, but has he shown anything electric? Now, maybe it's not his fault. The team's been bad, but let me see. Yeah, I mean, bad ownership, unproven quarterback. Also, this is just Matt Mayoka tweeted about this. The 49ers do not get a comp pick because you only get a comp pick if your DC stays with you for 2 years, or whatever position coach stays with you for 2 years. And since Robert Saleh was only back for a year, they don't get a comp pick. Not a big deal. It's like a late third, but now, okay, for the Jordan Schultz, he's of ESPN and NFL Network. He tweeted, because I just talked shit on the Titans and said, I don't know why you would go there. He said, the Titans offseason looked promising, hired Robert Saleh, year number 2 for Cam Ward. And I guess this is probably what's, positive for them. They have over $100 million in cap space to work with, so they can go get a ton of free agents. They have the number 4 overall pick in the draft. So a lot to be excited for. Nashville is what he says. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely in a rebuild. But if I was Robert Saleh, I don't know if you can do this. I think it's a rumor that Kyle Shanahan forced when they hired him, he put it in his contract that he needed 8 years. No, that's not true. 4 years? I forget. But at the time, the 49ers had rotated coaches a lot. Fired one coach after another, year after year after year. And Kyle said, I'm not going to go there unless you can guarantee me some stability to rebuild. And so I hope Robert Saleh, just because he seems like a good guy, I'm rooting for him. I hope he did that with Tennessee. Like, just because I don't produce in 1 year doesn't mean you get to fire me. Like, this organization is trash. It's going to take more than one draft probably to turn it around. Now he was interviewing. He interviewed for the Dolphins. They ended up hiring a different defensive guy. Kind of interesting that they would rather have, it was the Packers defensive coordinator. They hired him instead of Robert Saleh. So that job went away. He interviewed with the Cardinals. The Cardinals are just, seems like just as bad as an organization as the Titans, if not worse. And they don't have a quarterback because they're going to move on from Kyler Murray. So, and they're not super stable with their, coaches. And if he was in the NFC West, he'd have to face Kyle Shanahan and the Seahawks that he just lost to, and the Rams. So maybe that's why he didn't want to go to the Cardinals, because he was supposed to have an in-person interview for the Cardinals today. But he never ended up. The Titans didn't let him leave. They were like, nope, we're hiring you, because he was in person for them as well. Guess he didn't get offered the Ravens job. I thought if he was going to go somewhere, it'd be the Ravens, but looks like they're looking at someone else. Yeah, I mean, I hope it works out. I was kind of thinking, if it came down to a bad organization, that Robert Saleh might choose to stay. What's interesting is they just fired Sean McDermott. I mean, I wonder why. I guess the Bills probably want an offensive guy, right? I'm like, why would I just feel like there's better jobs available, the Ravens than the Titans. But maybe if he feels like he has the time to rebuild, like he doesn't have to produce in 1 year. And if he believes maybe he really believes in Cam Ward. We just saw Ben Johnson, people were really out on Caleb Williams last year, not me, but other people were really out on Caleb Williams. And now, people are amazed by him, and the Bears look like they've completely turned it around in 1 year, and they got super far this year in just year 1 of Ben Johnson. And I feel like even though it sucks the way their season ends, if you're a Bears fan, you probably feel like you have a promising future. Maybe Saleh thinks he can replicate that, with Cam Ward and the Titans. We've seen D'Amico, his offense has kind of sucked, but look at how far they got with how, good their defense is. Now, a lot of people are talking about this. What's funny is obviously Robert Saleh and Liam Cohn got into a bunch of heated screaming matches. Robert Saleh actually said, I'll effing end your life, which is an insane thing to say. By the way, YouTube, don't take my channel down for saying that. I'm quoting someone. But he said that basically following up going into the Jags game, a reporter asked Robert Saleh, what is Liam Cohn good at? What are the Jaguars good at? They're having all this success this season. What do you attribute that to? And Robert Saleh said, Liam Cohn is really good at stealing signs. So then there was a lot of drama about that. And people were like, whoa, dude, you just accused him of stealing. And he tried to walk it back and was like, no. I just mean like they're good at diagnosing what defenses are going to do. But it's like, okay, but you said stealing signs. I don't know. It seems like you're walking it back a little bit. I don't know if he misspoke or not, but Liam Cohn took it as an insult. And after the Jaguars beat the 49ers this season, he said, "Keep my name out of your effing mouth" to Robert Saleh at the end. You know, when head coaches go and they shake hands. So there's that viral moment of Liam Cohn saying, "Keep my name out of your effing mouth." And then Robert saying, "I'm going to end your effing life," which is crazy. And now they're going to be in the same division and face each other twice a year. So that'll be popcorn. Maybe that division is going to be a little bit more interesting to watch. Maybe. Who else is in that division? It's the Jaguars, the Titans, the Colts. Am I right? Let me see. I don't pay attention to the Titans, but now I will maybe. Titans division. I bet someone's putting it in the chat, but I don't see it. I'm not looking at the chat yet. I'm too tired. I feel like if I start looking at the chat, I'm going to get really, Oh, Texans. Oh, shit. So we're going to see, We're going to see D'Amico, Robert Saleh match up twice a year. It's going to be a lot of low scoring games in this division, a lot of defensive games. Colts are interesting, obviously, because they showed so much promise with Danny Dimes, but then he tore his ACL. So Robert Saleh with the Titans, D'Amico with the Texans. They're probably going to get a new offensive coordinator or do something with they got to figure out CJ Stroud. He's backslid ever since his rookie year. And then Jaguars, who, much like the 49ers, won 13 games this year and, beat the 49ers, actually. They looked very promising. So good for them. Yeah, that's mostly it for the update. I wanted to go over that Robert Saleh's gone, who the candidates might be to replace him, why maybe he took that job, why I wouldn't necessarily have taken that job. But I guess I understand. It's not a hard division. Like if it's between the Cardinals and the Titans, once again, I would have chose option C and stayed with the 49ers. But we know he wants to be a head coach. And out of those two, I definitely do think the Titans are the better team. They're more willing to spend. They got more cap space. They have a quarterback. Maybe Robert Saleh really believes in Cam Ward. I feel like I haven't watched enough Titans to really have an opinion on Cam Ward. Okay, now I want to look at some of the chats now that I feel like I got enough. I got enough. Papa J, you might be onto something. Saleh is not the future. Cohn owned him. Are you a Jaguars fan? I'm not saying you're wrong. Liam Cohn did own the 49ers this year, but I mean, I don't know. What did the defense do against that team? Was it the 49ers offense didn't score points, or was it the defense sucked? I genuinely don't remember. It was so long ago. Jags, Niners. Okay. I mean, Liam Cohn did a good job. They gave up 26. Jaguars won 26-21. So it was a close game, but 26 is a good amount of points. It'll be interesting to see that matchup for them. And I did think it was kind of uncouth of Robert Saleh to say what he said. But I'm a big Robert Saleh fan at the same time. Like, I don't know. End your effing, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say that on YouTube, but end your effing existence is a pretty intense thing to say. I was going to say, like, I'm a fan of, like, rivalries. I saw Ben Johnson when he beat the Packers. He kind of, like, he gave him a handshake, but not, like, it wasn't genuine. And he kind of was in the post-game locker room. He said, F the Packers. And some people were saying, like, that's not very professional. And I thought that was kind of cool because the Bears and the Packers have a huge rivalry. I think it's okay to be like, we don't like them, screw them, that type of thing. But to single a person out, not the organization, but a person out, and to say the end your it was pretty intense. I don't know. Every time I've talked to Robert Saleh, he's been a complete joy. I think he's kind of a politician. And it's pretty impressive. Like, a lot of the guys that are in the NFL, they have like family history. It's, been passed down. Think about the Kubiaks. There's like 27 of them. Their dad, their grandpa, their brother, their cousin, they're all in there. Even Shanahan, obviously Mike Shanahan, Matt LaFleur is from the Shanahan. Sean McVay had his dad in the NFL. Robert Saleh doesn't have any, family ties. Like, he worked his way up there. So he has to be, a bit of a politician. You got to be good with people in order to do that. God, this person's really anti-Niners. Eddie Trippin P. I don't think Eddie was trying to hurt anyone. I thought it was kind of funny. I don't know. Maybe that's messed up of me. I don't think players should be dirty. I don't think Eddie was trying to be dirty. I think he was just like, oh shit, it's 2 seconds into the game, and this guy's running past me, and he's quadruple my size. Like, Eddie's a short, tiny little dude. He's a little kicker. I think he just instinctually was like, I'm just gonna trip him. I don't think he was like, I'm gonna send him to the hospital. I think he just kicked his leg out. And what's more pathetic is it didn't even work. Like, he full on tried to kick him, and the guy just ran right past him. Like, dude, it was kind of pathetic. Like, I almost felt like it was like endearing. Like, oh, Eddie's trying. I can see if you're not a fan of the Niners, that leaving a bad taste in your mouth. I don't know. Patriots did it in 1 year. Seahawks did it in 2 years. Fire Kyle is choked. Even before the 49ers. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. The Niners hired Kyle coming off the 28-3 horrible loss with the Falcons and Patriots. And the Titans just hired Robert Saleh after giving up, 41. I think, if you're Titans fans, you're still excited. Like, I think if you're a Titans fan, it's one game that his defense did bad, and he was doing all that with scrubs, But yeah, it's interesting when you hire someone when they're coming off such a bad game. Rams going to be celebrating the Super Bowl in Levi's. I hope not. I don't know. I wanted the Bears to win because I feel like I wanted to cheer for an NFC West team, or not an NFC West. Sorry, I wanted to cheer for an NFC team versus like the AFC because I'm like, yeah, we're the NFC. Like, I'd rather them win, but it's hard when it's your own division. You're like, no, I don't want those guys to win. Like, the Bears would have been close enough to be like, yeah, it's like our group, us, NFC against the AFC, but it's like far enough away that like, you don't super care what happens with the Bears. Matt Eberflus, I think he's with someone. Is he available? That'd be interesting. Although, personnel wise, how's he? I think they should bring all these guys in, by the way. When I say like, how's he, I'm not saying no. I'm saying he's with the Dallas Cowboys. Is he going to be available? Green Bay. Is Green Bay hiring him right now? No, this is Reddit. Everything's happening in like real time. Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer in staff meeting telling his assistant that Matt Eberflus was fired. Well, 6 hours ago, a beat reporter that works, covering the Dallas Cowboys for Star-Telegram of Dallas, a beat reporter for Dallas just was praising Matt Eberflus and saying that the Cowboys like him. So, if he's open for an interview, I think you got to interview everyone. I'm full, do a thorough job. Because, people might surprise you. They might have good ideas. Even if you don't want to hire them, maybe they say something good and you can steal it. Not like in a, stealing in a bad way. Like, people do that. Bill Belichick used to do that all the time. He would interview all sorts of offensive coordinators just to see their ideas. Because when you have an interview, those things are like 6 hours long, and you map out, this is what I would do against the teams in your division. This is how I would win. So a lot of times coaches who have been with one team for a long time, they'll interview other, offensive or defensive coordinators just to kind of get a set of fresh eyes. And they end up hiring one of them. But if you interview 6 guys, just because you don't hire one of those 6 doesn't mean they didn't say something that you're going to, carry on with you. Titans getting a new stadium. Okay. Hi, Megan. I see Megan, Papa J, Eric. Look up Seahawks current DC. Is it not Mike? Does Mike not call plays? Seahawks DC. The Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator Aiden Drude, hired in 24 after serving at the Dallas Cowboys defensive line, developing a strong players unit, leading defensive front under Mike McDonald. So no, he doesn't. Former New England Patriots player. Yeah, I mean, dude, I was watching some film. I'll retweet it on my Twitter. I was watching a guy break down the Seahawks knew what plays Kyle Shanahan was going to call on offense. It was crazy, like how well they defended. Like I almost give Brock Purdy more props after watching some all 22. No receiver was getting open. It felt like the second Brock Purdy snapped the ball, the defensive, they showed Witherspoon. He used to be with the 49ers. He's on defense for the Seahawks now. He was like pointing to a guy, like he knew exactly where Christian McCaffrey was going to run. And then they tried to like do a fake out with running Christian over the middle, but getting Jake to the side. And he pointed and told someone like, follow him. And then he like backward ran with Christian and was able to keep up with him. 49ers need to get speed on their offense. They need to get guys that can get open. Someone said, don't say the word electrical. 49ers need to get rid of that substation. That's a whole other thing. They fired Vrabel because Pats wanted him, so it was a handshake deal. Well, that was a bad deal. I don't think that gives the Titans a good excuse. That was a bad deal for them. They shouldn't have done that. I don't get Josh Allen anymore. He used to be really good, much better than Purdy. I think Josh Allen is still an extremely good, talented player. He had a bad game, but I don't know. I think their GM, he doesn't have a good running back. He doesn't have any good wide receiver. Khalil Shakir is like his number one wide receiver, which is kind of like Brock Purdy's number one wide receiver being Jawan Jennings. Like both of them have, number 3 wide receivers. Spags owns Kyle, unfortunately. Yeah, talking about the Chiefs. Agree, but luckily right now the 49ers don't have to face them in their division. Now, will they be better? They hired back Eric Bieniemy for their OC. But I don't know. The Chiefs are kind of in a weird rebuild too. Jerry Rice watched the 49ers win a Super Bowl in 1995. Or Jerry Garcia. That was random. I was born in 1995. That's why that comment stuck out to me. Jim is still under contract with the Browns. I know, but I feel like I will give away your name. People know my name. I'm just reading chats. Okay. Tribe is, don't be mean to Papa J. I'm just reading some chats now. I feel like I got through what I wanted to update you guys on. This is going to be a very short stream because I need to hop in the shower. I went and worked out this evening. Usually I'm a morning. Are you guys a morning or an afternoon worker outer? Usually I'm a morning worker outer, but I had work to do and my calf was kind of hurting me. People are all talking about the room I'm in because I live here. Ashley, which Niners players do you see? Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Anyways, maybe, well, not Mac Jones. I was initially thinking if Robert Saleh went to a team that didn't have a quarterback, he'd bring Mac with him. So not Mac. I'm sure he'll bring, some of he can't bring anyone that's under contract. Can't bring Clay. Maybe Bryce Huff, like some of the guys that are on like 1-year deals that know his system that he can but I feel like they're going to do a lot of rebuilding. Like they're not going to there's not a lot of great guys to bring for the 49ers. It was rumored that the 49ers are going to try to let go of Bernardo Green. So maybe he'll bring Green with him. But I mean, Upton Stout on his rookie deal with the 49ers. Lenore under contract with the 49ers. Obviously Fred Warner staying. Robert Saleh didn't seem to be a fan of D Winters, so he's definitely going to stay. Maybe, I mean, he's going to bring some backup guys like Curtis Robinson has been, backup linebacker with the 49ers, and he's a veteran. He might bring someone like him, Yaturgos Matos. Robert Saleh, wanted to retain him. He was injured for the majority of the year. But, yeah, I don't think it's going to be huge losses for the 49ers. It's going to be, some of the guys that were on 1-year deals. Yeah. Brandon Ayuk, JJ, D Winners, Jennings. Yeah, maybe Jennings. Maybe they like, because I don't think that the 49ers are going to want to pay Jennings because Jennings wants too much money. He wants like number 1 wide receiver money. And Jennings is great. Like, I actually like Jennings. I think he plays with so much heart. But I don't think he's worth number 1 money. But if you're rebuilding and you just like need someone to like set a standard, D'Amico Ryans did this. He brought Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward was older, on the end of his career, and the 49ers didn't want to pay him a whole new contract. But for the Texans, it felt worth it because it was like, we just need a veteran who's going to set a standard. And maybe on offense, maybe they do that. Am I a millionaire? No, I don't. I'm very poor. I mean, not trying to down myself, but you see how many people are watching this. I'm getting there. I'm working. I'm working towards my goals. Maybe one day. Although if I do eventually make a lot of money, my dad is someone who always gave away, was always trying to help and distribute. Is that the right word? So if I ever got a lot of money, I'd want to take care of my dad. Love my childhood home, but it's kind of fallen down. So I'd love to do that. Love to help out my sister. My friend Lacey's done so much for me. So I would want to help the people in my life and then help even people I don't know, because I feel like I got a lot of help when I was younger. So I'd want to do a lot of that. But anyways, I think I'm Ronnie Bell. Luckily I don't think he's with the 49ers anymore. I have a lot of insight that I can help you with. Okay. Thank you. I think I'm going to end it here. I hope I got to any chats that were important. I love you guys so much. Maybe Robert Saleh can take our strength and conditioning coach. We got to end on this one. Can take our strength and conditioning coach with them. Yeah, they got to do a complete let go of all those guys. Anyways, I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'm so bummed about what a shitty, not to be a negative Nancy. I love the 49ers. I don't want to be excited about it, but what a shitty, you lose to the Seahawks. The Rams or the Seahawks, one of them are going to play the Super Bowl in your stadium, and then you lose your defensive coordinator that has brought so much hope and energy back into the organization. Hopefully they do a thorough search. Like I said, initially, Raheem Morris is high on my list. Jim Schwartz, if he becomes available, high on my list. And then we got to look more into Gus Bradley because he's been with the 49ers and seems like, hey, the Clippy woke badass guy, I don't know. I'm going to ban you. Don't talk to my dad. Weird. Anyone new watching, Leroy Keating's my dad, and he's the best, and you can't talk shit about him in my chat, or I'll ban you. You can talk shit about me, but my dad's such a cool guy. He said piss off. That's such a funny insult. Anyways, everyone be nice. I know that it's not great news, but we can also love each other and be positive. I have so many regulars in the chat that are so kind to each other. So if you're new, because this is breaking news, so if you're not used to this stream, I try to go live every day, give you guys all the breaking 49ers news. And usually I try to lean towards the more optimistic, positive side. I still have a lot of hope for what the 49ers can do. I did a stream earlier. It was like an hour and a half long of all the moves that they can make, the guys that they should bring in from the draft, guys that they need to bring in from free agency. So if this one was a little bit more negative, it's just because I like Robert Saleh and it's a bummer that he's leaving. But the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are going to have their end of year presser on Wednesday. So I'll be going live after that because it's always interesting to break down. And obviously they're going to talk about the defensive coordinator. And by the way, since Robert Saleh was fired, I think there'll be an additional press conference. Whoever they hire, usually the new hire has a press conference too. So I think there's going to be 2 more press conferences coming before the draft and stuff. So I'll be going live a bunch. I'll also be going live after the playoff games and the Super Bowl, since it's going to be, 20 minutes away from where I live. So lots more content to come. If you're new here, make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I always really appreciate it. I love you guys so much, and have a good night. Like I said, it's past my bedtime, so I love you guys. Brush your teeth, drink water, have